A Cleveland area state representative is concerned about the potential violence that could take place at the Ohio Statehouse in Columbus on this Sunday. State Representative Casey Weinstein says that he's concerned that far-right militias and Trump supporters want to cause damage to our Capitol, just as many did at the U.S. Capitol just a few days ago.
Well, we have seen sustained protest at the Statehouse. We have seen armed protest. We have seen it in Michigan. We have seen it in Pennsylvania. Our neighbor states, our peer states, and what we saw. I had a level of concern, and then last week, kind of blew my mind in terms of what the level of concern that we all should have right now. I think it's a very real issue. These are not peaceful protests. This is not what we think of normally when we think about maybe a Statehouse protest. These are armed hate groups in a lot of ways, or actually hate groups with a specific mission and goal in mind, and that's insurrection and overthrowing a democratically held election. And they're making it pretty plainly clear what their objectives are. And if they are inspired in any way by what happened at the Capitol last week, then I think we should be very concerned and take every precaution we possibly can in Columbus.
Do you think those in the Republican Party are taking these threats seriously, or is this just to them going to be a peaceful protest like some BLM protests were over the summer?
I think last week was a wake-up call with what happened. I think I'd say the majority of the Republican Party, and I do have faith and confidence in the Attorney General and the Governor that they are taking this seriously. And the Highway Patrol, State Highway Patrol, who provides security at the Statehouse, it does seem like they're planning for it appropriately. I was a little concerned that I had heard that the National Guard hadn't been contacted in any way. I don't think we can take this. I don't think we can over prepare for this thing. So the answer is yes, mostly. But there are certainly some who, in my mind, are not, unfortunately, not taking it seriously enough. And I really hope that doesn't come back to put people at risk in Ohio.
Initially, when rioters took over the Capitol just a few days ago, President Trump called them great people. He said he loved them and all that stuff. But then after, he condemned them. But what do you think were the dangers of his initial message that millions of those rioters heard?
He is their rallying cry. And, even in his comments today that have come out, thinking that what he did was totally appropriate, ordering them to the Capitol, telling them to go to the Capitol, even in the weeks, Jaden, leading up to this protest, talking about it being a wild protest or a wild march or gathering, that set the tone for what was expected there. Let's go back to the debate when he said, "Proud Boys, stand by." Well, they have been, and then they mobilized, and then they shot 4 police officers, or police and security officers in the Capitol. And 4 people are dead, or I think 5 people are dead at this point. Is shocking. So he is their leader. They heed his every word. They listen to him. And so I think he bears tremendous responsibility for the escalation, for the initial gathering, certainly he called it, for the escalation of it, and for inspiring them and really essentially essentially ordering them to the Capitol, to the point where they got there with the goal of some of them chanting "Hang Mike Pence," and the goal of destruction, and the goal of some of them of murder and treason and insurrection. So Trump bears tremendous responsibility for what has happened and what appears could continue to happen.
Based off of the encouragement these militia groups were given, they are becoming bolder and bolder and bolder in what they are doing. The FBI put out that bulletin that they plan to protest at all 50 state capitals. People want some type of form of leadership right now because, of course, understandably, everyone is concerned. So what is your message to your constituents and other Ohioans?
I think bold leadership is needed right now. And what that takes is to draw a line in the sand and say, look, we're going to we're going to continue, let's be real, we're going to continue disagreeing on the issues. We understand that on policy, but this is a fundamental democracy at stake kind of moment here, where we are going to determine if we're going to have a republic, if we're going to have a democratically elected government, or what the United States looks like going forward. So we need to, it's a moment that demands unity, that demands leaders to speak up and say, this has gone, we've gone over the line. We are now risking the very institutions that have created the United States and made us the most powerful and strongest country in the history of the world. It's time to stand up. It's time to say no. It's time to move on past this election. It's time to move forward into a new era. And we have to speak up. We have to denounce this in the strongest terms. Whataboutism and say, trying to compare this to a peaceful BLM protest, or making up that, creating, saying Antifa did it. I saw a great meme the other day, Jaden, of two dogs that had torn apart a couch and some toys, and the parents came home and the caption said, "Oh no, look what Antifa did." I mean, you just can't keep making BLM and Antifa your scapegoats and boogeymen for what's happening right now. We just need to, in a vacuum, say, no, this is wrong. This is bad. What happened last week is bad. We can't let it happen again. We need to lock arms, and we need to make sure we do whatever we can to preserve our democracy.
Representative Casey Weinstein, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jaden.